Stockholm isn't just the biggest city in Scandinavia with its 1.5 million population, but also a must-see for any tourist visiting the northern parts of Europe. But to me, it's always been home. I was born here and lived in the city until about 5 years ago when my wife and I decided to leave the city for a house out on an island in Stockholm's stunning archipelago. That decision also solved the only problem I ever had with Stockholm. The fact that I haven't been able to experience it as a tourist. And exactly what type of channel would this be if I didn't make a proper guide to my own city? So with that being said, I've decided to make the most comprehensive guide ever made about my dear hometown. That is Stockholm, and really cover everything you need to know. So without further ado, this is Stockholm in spring. Just before we begin, make sure that you have liked and subscribed to the video, as well as to hit the bell button to get notified when we release new videos. Sweden's capital is set around 14 islands connected by 57 bridges and water, making it stunning to visit all year round. Stockholm has on numerous occasions been called and voted as one of the most beautiful capital cities in the world, and it's not hard to see why. Its city centers consists out of 6 main areas: Östermalm, Norrmalm and Vasastan, which we will focus this guide completely around. Then the Old Town, Kungsholmen and Södermalm, which we will get to in our upcoming guide, as well as the beautiful archipelago which surrounds the city with its 24,000 islands. Östermalm is known to be the more elegant and posh parts of Stockholm, firstly known for its trendy bars and restaurants that make the nightlife of Stureplan, but also for its beautiful architecture, a wide variety of museums and parks, as well as the beautiful island of Djurgården, which is perfect for a stroll in the sun, but also hosts both Stockholm's Zoo Skansen as well as the amusement park Gröna Lund. I will, however, get back to Djurgården in the next part, which is the summer in Stockholm. Norrmalm and Vasastan together makes up what you would call the most central areas in the city. That includes the central station, which operates as a hub for all commuter services in the city, like long-distance trains, subways and overground system. Close by you can find a lot of hotels, restaurants and tourist informations, including the starting points for all the hop-on, hop-off services, the Arlanda Express shuttle service for the airport, and finally the city terminal for long-distance buses, all more or less connected next to each other. The area of Norrmalm and Vasastan has a more modern architecture than the rest of the city in a very notable way. Being located as north as it is, the people of Stockholm have to face more or less 8 months of complete darkness. So, when the sun finally decides to show itself in the beginning of spring, Stockholm is instantly filled with life. And the outdoor seatings will guaranteed to be packed on a somewhat sunny day in April, although the temperature is still somewhat around 10 degrees Celsius. We just love this time of year, more than anything. Now we will have an upcoming 4 months in our beloved capital in all its beauty, with the sun in mid-June only being gone for an hour or two. And this is the beginning of that time. Well, spring is finally here, so put your best shoes on and just take a walk. The Östermalm area is just beautiful this time around, so set off on an adventure through the streets and parks and just discover the city for yourself. get enriched of the Swedish fika, which means more or less to just treat yourself with a break and stop for a coffee or a newly baked cinnamon bun in any of the countless cafes in the Stureplan area. Maybe walk all the way down to the Kungsträdgården park and have your break there. Along is Cherry Blossom, which we unfortunately missed by a week or two making this video, and relax either with an espresso or why not treat yourself with a glass of wine or a beer. I mean, you are on holiday after all. In the center of Kungsträdgården you also find the American branded Fridays restaurant, which could offer you a lunch if the time is right for a quite fair price. The city has its fair shares of malls and gallerias to visit for all shopping or window shopping needs you might have. The one most central and closest to the central station is nicely enough called just Gallerian, and is since the refurbishment the nicest to visit in my opinion. It also has a very nice newly opened Japanese restaurant on the top floor by the name Kasai, which I can recommend as a price-friendly option to Fridays for lunch in the city. Also well worth to talk about is the food court Kungshallen, a short walk from here with a huge variety of somewhat cheap street foods from all over the world. Most of the government-owned museums are completely free to visit. Set in the beautiful spot in the small island of Skeppsholmen is the Modern Museum with art and installations. A close 5-minute walk back from the bridge you came, a more contemporary choice is presented in the National Museum of Art. Just outside the museum is the stunning, not yet free Grand Hotel, a member of the leading hotels of the world brand. Being Sweden's most expensive and luxurious hotel, the hotel is far off my budget, but the bar, set just outside the National Museum, is well worth a stop for a cocktail and some people watching with a view over Old Town and the Royal Palace opposite of you. Finally, if you are a Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli fan, I am delighted to tell you that Miyazaki came to Stockholm in the 70s to try and make a deal with our famous author Astrid Lindgren in hopes to make an animated version of Pippi Longstockings. The meeting didn't go as well as Miyazaki had hoped, but he fell in love with the city and years later used a lot of famous buildings in his works in movies like Kiki's Express Delivery, which can be found all around the Norrmalm area. To find them all, just visit ghiblifandom.com and follow in Miyazaki's footsteps. The most famous of all buildings painted in the movie is the City Hall of Stockholm, where I spent probably the happiest day of my entire life. The transport and commuter system in Stockholm is just amazing and so easy to get around. Since Stockholm is almost walkable, traveling by buses, subways, trams and commuter trains locally within the city limits is often just a 10-minute ride at most. Everything in Stockholm is connected through the central station, which has a connection towards the city terminal for buses, the Arlanda Express train service for the airport and the subway station T-centralen, where all the subway lines in Stockholm connects as well. Tickets can be purchased through the downloadable SL app as well as just with your credit card at the station. A single ticket throughout Stockholm, valid for 75 minutes on all buses, trains and trams, will cost 39 kronor for adults and 26 for children, teenagers and seniors. A travel card valid for 24 hours can most easily be bought through the app and will land at 165 kronor or 330 for 72 hours and finally 430 for an entire week. Since a couple of years back, the SL ticket and cards are also valid on most of the ferries trafficking Stockholm's closed islands as well as the archipelago. This is a pro tip for a very cheap and amazing way to experience Stockholm through the water. Why not take a half day away to a close island nearby and discover the archipelago for yourself? Or why not catch a ferry from Strand to Hammarby Sjöstad and visit the Carnegiebryggeriet, which is one of the countless craft breweries in Stockholm, for a nice sample of local craft beer. Or, if the manager doesn't happen to be one of your closest friends, book a tour of the brewery and see how it's all done.
By his expression and his gesture.
Most hotels in the city is located in the Norrmalm and Vasastan area, somewhat close to the central station. The Radisson brand, that actually used to be Swedish, still has 3 really good hotels in its Royal Viking, Waterfront and Strand. With Royal Viking not only being a bit cheaper, but also my favorite of the 3. The hotel is located just next door to the central station, with everything Stockholm has to offer close by. The hotel was refurbished a couple of years ago and features amazing standard of the rooms, a relax area with a gym, pool and a sauna, as well as quite famous fish restaurant in Stockholm, Fisk, with its amazing bar, as well as an amazing sky bar with great views. Booking Radisson is always cheapest from their own website, or if you are a Genius member on booking.com. With a bunch of really nice hotels close by, the Swedish brand of Scandic Hotels is also a great choice. The ones I can recommend you look into are the Scandic Continental just opposite the central station, the Scandic Grand Central, a 5-minute walk away next to Stockholm's only and government-owned casino, or the very cool, sleek and trendy Scandic Haymarket located on the Hötorget Square opposite the food market hall with its trendy cocktail bar. Or, finally, the cheaper kind just door to door in Scandic Klara, which has the exact same type of rooms as the others, just without any trendy restaurants or bar. The hotel that I have chosen to go in depth this time, however, is the Elite Plaza, located in Östermalm on trendy Birger Jarlsgatan, in the heart of Stureplan and all the trendy bars, restaurants and nightclubs. The hotel is really nice with simple yet comfortable rooms and hosts the bar Vassa Eggen, which is an amazing place to start your night out with a pre-dinner drink. Like any huge city, Stockholm has a fair share of restaurants and bars in all price ranges and styles. What you prefer to do is obviously up to you and your likings, but I will give you some options though, but remember, only in the area we are focusing on set around Östermalm and Norrmalm. But first of all, if you are to visit Stockholm in the beginning of spring on a sunny day, I can absolutely recommend to treat yourself with a beer and a sit down after a walk in Östermalm area at Ellen. The bar is situated in a park with a stunning view of the sunset and a great spot for people watching, giving you a feeling of what being a local will feel like. You will be next to both people living in the area as well as business colleagues having their after work. If you feel like trying something special and have big money to spend, Franzén, close to the central station in Norrmalm, is the one to go for. Having 3-star in Guide Michelin and being voted the 6th best restaurant in the world, their Asian-inspired menu and dining experience where you move to different parts and rooms throughout your meal is more or less as good as it gets. For a hefty 450 euros per person, you will be served a dining experience like nothing you've ever tried before. Wine pairings to your menu will end up costing you another couple of €100, but hey, if you can afford it, why not? Just make sure to book the moment they release reservations, because they do tend to go fast. A very nice, pretty newly open restaurant that has got brilliant reviews and is still much affordable for most people is Noi, located at the Nobis Hotel in Norrmalmstorg. They have an amazing menu, also being somewhat inspired by Asian cuisine and some, if not the best food I've ever tried in Stockholm. I do want to state that the previous restaurant, Franzén, is still on my bucket list though. Starters like the steak tartare served with calabra dressing or the grilled squid with fried garlic and black aioli will land around 15 to 20 euros. Main ranges from 25 to 40 euros and desserts like this amazing baked pineapple with lemongrass and mango sorbet will cost you between 10 to 15 euros. Two other really great options in the same area is the Berns Asiatiska with a great menu of fine dining Asian cuisine and Pass the Art, situated in the fancy street Biblioteksgatan serving a classic French menu. Finally, you obviously don't have to spend your hard-earned money on expensive dinners when visiting Stockholm. There are lots of cheap eateries in the city, still really good and wallet-friendly. Stockholm's food scene is world-class thanks to Sweden's diversity in its people. After a long day of being a tourist, a local Indian restaurant found in a corner serving a curry and some beers, accompanied by your friends or loved ones, will always work just as fine. And will give you both the food and some beers for around 20 to 25 euros. Stockholm is often seen as too expensive for most people to visit, even being probably the cheapest country in Scandinavia these days. Still, with so much of the tourist spots like museums being free to visit and the beautiful city perfect for just seeing by foot, I think you can still plan an amazing trip to Stockholm on a budget just like most countries in Europe. And by the time the cherry blossom and the city slowly wakes up from the long night that was the winter, it always feels like you were given another chance. But at what? At living, at embracing life, at summer, to go out, meet the spring, meet new people and old loved ones that you haven't seen. We Swedes change as spring approaches. We are out, we are at our best, full of hope over what summer will bring us. No time could therefore be better to visit because it all starts now, here in Scandinavia's beautiful capital, and nothing can stop us. Never. In part 2 of our guide to Stockholm, we will cover the Old Town, Södermalm and Djurgården Island in summer and during the most spectacular season. I will also tell you all the tips and funny facts to get to know Stockholm in the best possible way. Then, in part 3, I will tell you all about the archipelago and why you should rent a car and explore the Provence and Tuscany of Sweden. And finally returning back to Stockholm during Christmas season for part 4, so be sure to stick around for that. However, next time we will discover a hidden gem in Belgium's Bruges. We will try all the chocolate, beers and waffles we can while exploring this fairy tale of a city. Also, following up on Bruges, I will finally, after years of preparation, launch my own late night show named as The Channel. So, lots of upcoming delights here on The Night and Us. Make sure to subscribe, like and share to help us grow. In the end, however, always remember, it is not about the destination, it is what you make of it that counts. Until next time, stay safe.